Luckily, I had set my alarm beforehand. So, holy shit. First rest day in months. First day without a lift in months. Am I distraught? Am I going to go insane? Did I just lose all of my gains? No. I don't feel that strongly about rest days. I've brought this up before. I mean, if I took a rest day every week for this whole time that I've been lifting, I think I'd be fine. I think I'd be a pretty comparable size. I don't think I'd be missing out on much from that extra day of going in or not. I mean, there's freaks who, oh my god. There's freaks who fucking take rest days all the time, whatever. But I don't necessarily think that they're, completely necessary. That's kind of my idea with them. I mean, it's just like you wake up every day, you run around, you do your work every day. Why wouldn't you train every day? I don't know. That's just me, though. That's not necessarily me saying you should not take rest days. But if you're inclined, and like every time you have a rest day scheduled, you're like, oh man, this sucks. I wish I could go in. But I gotta take my rest day. I won't be able to train if I don't take my rest day. Come on. I don't think it's that serious, I say this all the time. You're not just gonna... You're obviously not just gonna croak after 4 days of training instead of 3. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm exhausted. So considering just how screwed up the sleep schedule has been, I'm just gonna get my cardio in now. I'm kind of taking a little bit of a break from my last couple projects. So 7:00 p.m. morning cardio, and then by the time I finish all my stuff, then I'll be able to go over to the gym and hit back. So you'll be able to see that tomorrow. So in terms of the cardio, I'll just get a little cardio rant going. What's the fucking point? Why do your cardio? It's gonna kill my gains, man. I'm burning off energy. I want to just focus everything onto my lifts. I mean, come on. I can understand why you would say that, because it's a potential scapegoat to say, I don't want to do my cardio, and this is why. Come on. Get freaking real, man. 30 minutes. Okay. Oh my god. Someone had a yawn counter in the bottom. But 30 minutes, 300 calories at least. That's kind of the bar that I like to hit. Sometimes if I'm really getting into like some TikTok edits, or I'm listening to some kind of music that's really hyping me up, I will pedal a bit harder and get up in like the 400 calorie range. But I'm not sitting there trying to make myself pass out from physical exertion. I sit down and pedal. Obviously my quads and my legs and everything else, it is doing some work on the seated bike, but it's not like that strenuous. It's really just kind of sitting down and just pedaling a little bit, kind of mindlessly. It's not nothing, but it doesn't really require any direct thought. So when I do it, I'm not thinking about the cardio at all. Really, I'm just thinking about whatever I'm doing on my phone. So if you were just to sit on like the seated bike, or to sit on the Stairmaster, or the treadmill or whatever, no music, no nothing, just kind of Zen meditation style, honestly, that actually is probably good. Just be alone with your own thoughts for a little bit of time. But I'm a bit too dopamine dependent to do that. So somebody like me, I just want to play on my phone. Clash Royale. That's honestly, I've got like a 3-app rotation. It'll be like maybe 10 minutes of Clash Royale with like music or like a show playing or something in the background. TikTok, or just like Instagram Reels, watching people flip their Corvettes, or whatever the hell else. And then boom, 30 minutes is over. Now, in terms of the benefits, bulking or cutting, man, you're going to be able to eat more food without putting on so much body fat. You're just going to be a more, I don't want to say efficient machine per se, but the fact that you have an extra 300 calories to burn throughout the day means that your body is going to need another 300, or actually probably just a touch more than 300, to do all of its basic necessities, right? If I mean, think about this, man. If you're driving your car 20 miles, right, you have to fill it up with 20 miles worth of gas per day, like on average over time. But if every day you go 25 miles, you'll be able to put more gas in the tank. So in a human equivalent to that, right, you'll be able to eat more food per day, and it won't really be a challenge for you. So dieting down, obviously, that's going to mean that it'll be easier for you to eat less food because you can physically eat just a little bit more. That sounds a little bit redundant, so if you get what I'm saying, then you get it. But when you're bulking, right, what that means is you're going to have an easier time getting food down, because you're kind of just going to have a bit of a, I don't want to say a desire, but by doing the cardio combined with obviously, a hard weight training session later on in the day, you're creating a need in your body to be like, dude, you got to fucking feed me, man. You got to fill me up with some fucking food, some calories, man, some carbs, some sweets, drink whatever, man. Replenish that glycogen. So in either case, what's really important to me is how it affects my ability to get food down, or to not get food down in a dieting context. So sure, I could still bulk up to as heavy as I'm going to get without the cardio, but I can I can guarantee that if I were to do this whole bulk with zero cardio, let's just break down what would happen. For one thing, I'd probably be a bit fatter. Not that I'm like fat, but you get what I'm saying. I'm going to put on more body fat because I'm not doing my cardio in the morning, burning off some of that extra calories. And then during my lifts themselves, I'm going to be way more winded. I mean, packing on, upwards of 25 pounds over the course of a couple of months, that definitely kind of affects my cardio. When I'm lean and I'm dieting down, I can tell I'm much more, I don't want to say agile, but I'm a much more efficient machine. It's much easier for me to do tons of cardio, not get winded or anything. But when I'm really putting a ton of food down, dude, without cardio, I do probably like fucking 2 sets of bench or 1 heavy set of squats, and I'd be sitting there like really bad, So in that sense, it's going to make my training better. And not only is that kind of windedness factor going to change, but I'll just be able to recover quicker from my sets. I could do a set to failure of leg extensions, and if I did my cardio, my quads will probably get replenished and re-oxygenated, right, by all the fresh blood getting pumped through me, compared to if I didn't do my cardio. It would take a little bit longer for me to recover, or by the time that I felt like I was ready to do another set, let's say I waited 2 minutes in either scenario, then that no cardio scenario, I'm not going to be able to get as many reps done, right? What's going to be better for my quads? You think 15 reps of leg extensions with like X amount of weight, or 20? Right? I don't want to fall under the more is better fallacy, but that would be a harder set, and those last few reps would probably have a significant amount of more stimulus to my quads than the 15 rep set would. So I think it might just be the fact that I've actually gone through periods of doing my cardio and not doing my cardio, so I can physically see, and I've gone through the differences on how it affects my training. So for me, it's not even a question that it's the best case scenario. I literally know it is. But I guess if you've never really gotten into doing your cardio and you haven't felt the benefits, then I can see how it's a hard sell. I definitely can. But I cannot overstate the benefits. Apparently, I can understate them based on the fact that every time I bring up cardio, and especially in the videos where it's just dedicated to cardio, all the comments, why would you even do cardio on a bulk? So I don't know. It's I feel like you gotta crack the code. You gotta come to your own spiritual awakening to be able to see cardio through my eyes instead of your own non-cardio doing, stair skipping, treadmill avoiding ass. So I've drove around for long enough. Time to actually get in there and do a little bit of pedaling before I have to come back and bust out like a 3-page essay and finish some engineering, 3D modeling and drawings and all sorts of other mumbo jumbo, which apparently will affect the pump, as I've come to find out. So when it comes to my weight, oh my dude, I am fucking light as all hell. Me being busy with school, like finals week especially, stuff like that, it does not correlate well in a bulk. It is good during a cut because obviously I don't need to try to get food down. All I have to do is, I mean, when I'm dieting down, I feel like all I do is kind of exist in a way, you know, because food becomes less of a chore and it's just like, oh, I'm kind of hungry, you know, I'll eat something. So right now I'm not carb depleted all the way, but I am definitely on the lower end for sure. I'm in like I'm in the lower 240s right now. Now, when I see that and I step on the scale in the morning and it says 243 instead of like the 249 like it was about, 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, I'm not totally flipping a lid just because I know that that is not muscle weight, that is not contractile tissue that's going up and down pound for pound wise. It's just, the amount of carbs and water and glycogen that I have in my muscles, which is kind of, flattened at this current state. So, apart from the fact that I'm excited to be done with all this shit, and then I'll be able to chill and I won't have so much work to do, I'm also excited to be done so I can actually start getting my food down and get back up into that 250 range like I should be in. But I don't foresee that being a problem. A couple good days of eating and I'll be right back up there. Now, is it my fault that I haven't been hitting my meals because I've made myself into a bit of an academic predicament where I've really got to be just on a constant grind? Yeah, that's a fuck up on your old pal Sam's side. But I'm gonna get into my cardio, and by the time I come back here, I should be drenched. Alright, so not absolutely drenched. I did dry off a little bit when I was doing some chatting, but it was as if I went in there, sat down on the bike, and then blinked. And then cardio was over. Over just like that. So now I get to go back into captivity and toil away for the next 4-ish hours. And in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I am going to make sure to get down at least 2-ish liters of water, obviously combined with some electrolytes because I want to be well hydrated. I can tell I'm on the lower end of that spectrum. Probably eat some sweets as well, and then I will be pretty much ready to hit back late tonight at the 24-hour gym nearby me. So yet another benefit of gyms with very wide hours, and ideally 24 hours, is if the one gym that you might like closes at 11, then maybe your schedule is kind of crazy that day, you can still go into the other one. That's a bit of a benefit there. It's not like I don't think, or it's not like I don't mind going to the same gym over and over and over again. It's whatever, as long as it has good equipment, of course. But I do like changing it up for a couple of reasons. I brought this up a few times. not only am I going to be able to use different equipment, like be able to change up the routine, change up the stimulus, maybe have a whole different back day or a whole different chest day or try something I've never done before, etc. But I'll also get to run into different people, and it's fun being around other people, all sorts of groups, and whatever else. You got to get exposed to all sorts of new training styles or whatever. If I go to a couple different gyms, I might see somebody do something that at first might make me think, what the heck is that guy doing? But then maybe I think about it and I'm like, oh, well, actually, that kind of makes sense. Maybe ask him like, hey, why are you doing that? Stuff like that. And then before you know it, maybe you have a brand new movement which you've never even seen before, and you're like, dude, this feels sick. I've never had such a tight squeeze on my upper pecs in my life doing this cable fly variation, But yeah, so tomorrow we'll be back, and what is that lift gonna look like? Well, if I had to guess, I would say rows, pull downs, and pullovers. I mean, that's what any good back day looks like. Now, one thing which, if you watched a lot of these, or if you haven't seen any of them, then I guess you wouldn't know, but there's been a pretty consistent pattern which I have yet to break for a very long time when it comes to my back training, and that is that none of my back days consist of any deadlifting. Deadlifts are not really on the table for me. And no, not because I went too heavy when I was younger and I ripped my lumbar off or some crazy shit like that. If my goal is to go into the gym and fatigue my lats as much as I can and my mid traps and get a crazy back pump, then I want to do movements which will kind of allow me to funnel all of my energy into hitting those specific muscles. So if I want to hit my lats, then for me, I want to spend all of my energy on them and hit failure purely from like pull downs or pullovers or whatever. I could get a crazy amount of lat activation, or I don't know, maybe not even a crazy amount. I've never really done it. I don't know. I've never really incorporated deadlifts purely due to the fact that they work so much glutes and hamstrings. But so sure, due to deadlift, they've got big backs, or they can. I'm not going to say you're not going to develop any back muscles from deadlifting, but you got to think, sure, you're working your mid traps and your lats and your lower back, your erectors and whatever else, but you're also relying on your glutes and hamstrings as secondary muscles, if not pretty much right up there as the primary muscles being worked, just due to the nature of the deadlift. So why would I want to include my glutes or my hamstrings in back day? For one thing, I literally just hit legs 2 days before, so my hamstrings are probably already kind of fatigued, so I don't want to give them any extra work from deadlifts. But also, I'm just going to be so fatigued from doing them, it won't make any sense. The amount of energy that I could put into lat pull downs or chest supported row, it's just going to be more condensed on my back than the amount of energy that I would spend on deadlifts. So if I were to do a crazy set of deadlifts, it would take up so and so amount of energy. But some of that is getting partitioned to my glutes and hamstrings. And then some of it's going to my lats and my traps and whatever else too. But, if I sit here and do some more isolative back movements like pull downs and rows, then all of the energy that I'm using is going to those muscles that I'm actually trying to target directly. So that's just how I feel about it. Plus, I don't know. I don't necessarily feel the need to really develop your lower back to an insane level. When I think of my back, and this is just kind of my opinion based on my current set of knowledge and whatever, but if I think of how I want my back to look over time in a bodybuilding context, I don't want my waist thickening up, and that's not just like from the sides either. That's front to back too. So the bigger your lower back is, it can kind of make you look a little blocky from the side. I really want my lats and my traps and my mid back to kind of cover up the back of my torso like a suit of armor. And then I kind of want it to be just connected to as little of a midsection as possible. You know, I'm not a genetic freak waist-wise, but I don't want to make it any worse. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of, that's just how I feel there. So a little bit of a quick one. Purely a car talk day. So I guess for some of you, you're like, what the fuck is this? But then for others, for some others of you who maybe always just skip the lift and jump to the car talk, then you're like, yippee, this is perfect. So don't worry, this is not going to become commonplace. I've just got a little bit of Sam life interfering with the lifts, which I try my best not to let happen. If you've watched a couple of these and you've heard me chatting about making sure you hit your lifts, I think you know that. But every so often, you got some real shit to deal with. Not really gonna hurt you too bad though. The only thing that'll really kind of put a, you know, what's the expression I'm trying to think of here? Put a thorn in your side when it comes to progress is, you know, it's no problem if every couple of, well, hell, let's say every week, you know, you got to skip a lift. And I mean, like, let's say you're training on a day-to-day basis, on the daily. You got to skip a lift sometimes. You got shit to do, whatever. You're all right. And then let's say you got a rest day a week. You know, maybe if every 2 weeks you got to take a couple of days off. As long as for the most part you're consistent, you'll still be able to make progress, for sure. Now, I'm not saying it's the best case scenario, but let me just kind of finish the thought. But this can definitely kind of grab you a little bit. You know, let's say you had to skip a day, and then maybe you had a rest day scheduled for the next day, and you think to yourself, well, I don't want to throw off the schedule. I'll still take my rest day. Make it 2 days. Well, I'm kind of tired now. I'll make it 3 days. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll make it 4 days. And then before you know it, 2 weeks passes, and you're like, oh shit, I haven't been to the gym in a while. Fuck. Now, this is kind of just me kind of hypothesizing a situation. I've never really gone through that. Honestly, I can't remember the last time I even took 3 days off in a row for any reason, even like severe, you know, injury or whatever else. But, you know, I was kind of saying this on the way here. I think you really got to keep moving, man. I hear this clip a lot from Mike Menser. He was like, you know, have you ever noticed that after taking 2 weeks off from training, when you come back, you feel stronger? I do not agree at all, man. Fuck. You know, if I had to take a couple of days off and then come back to you know, whatever else, I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna be weaker. So I kind of feel like it's, I mean, let's just think about this with a little bit of logic. You know, let's say you right now, hypothetically, let's say you just lift every day. You're pretty strong. You're nice and bulked up. You got a lot of calories in your system. You're throwing around a lot of weight. If you were to just stop lifting, what do you think is going to happen? If you're right here and then you just stop lifting, I don't foresee a spike. I don't foresee a spike to happen after that. I only foresee a freaking downward trend till, you know, baseline of just being a normal Joe. So, fuck, man. I mean, if I thought that every couple of weeks I should take a week off and it would actually make me stronger, then shit, I would do it. You know, that's kind of how I approach everything. Apart from, like, obviously keeping my mind open to new ideas, but you got to be able to do shit, or you should have the ability to do things which you can understand the benefits, or avoid doing things if you can understand the detriments of what they're going to do to you. You know? So I feel like when it comes to training in general, you're kind of fighting an uphill battle in a way. So every day you're stacking, I don't know what you're stacking. You're stacking sand. You're making a pile of sand every day with your training. And you're trying to make this pile grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. You know, this pile is going to include your size, your strength, your mental discipline, all sorts of everything. You know, and every day, let's say you can scoop on a full scoop. Every time you do your lift and you hit your macros, make sure you keep up with your training routine. You add 1 scoop of sand to the pile. But just by nature, some sand is just going to fall off. Let's say half a scoop. So over time, let's say you got 2 lifters, and one dude, he sticks to his routine for a whole fucking year straight, like a total baller, like a total G, every day. Maybe he includes his rest days, but that's part of the routine that he's locked himself into. Every day he's scooping sand onto his pile, and a little bit comes off, but he keeps piling it up, and at the end of the year, he's gonna have a big ass pile of shit, in a good way. But the guy who takes some rest days when he doesn't need to, just kind of, he's constantly skipping days. Sure, maybe he still put a lot of scoops onto his pile, but it's also just gonna kind of constantly, deflate on him. So even if he had let's say 60% of days were good compared to the other guy who had 100%, his pile is going to be way less than 60% of the size. It's just a little bit of a mental image I'm kind of thinking about to convey the importance of being consistent. I think that's what I'm really trying to say. So I think that's all I freaking got. Very easy on me editing wise for this one, just 2 little splices, but yeah, don't worry. Standard content to be, I say content, it's really just kind of like freaking documentation. But normal lifts to return from tomorrow onward. From tomorrow freaking onward. So hopefully you do your cardio, be it morning, evening, whenever. I do think that morning cardio is the best method, but sometimes you got to adapt. Hopefully you're at least thinking about starting it. You're probably not, but I know some of you guys are like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I bet there's a small subsection of whoever's watching this right now who, when they hear me say you should probably start doing your cardio, they're thinking, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And then they get all the benefits over the course of time because they lock themselves in. Statistically speaking, that might not be you, man. That might not be you. Or it could be you. So you see, you get what I'm saying. Do your cardio, do your lifts hard, eat your food, try to finish off all this BS school stuff so you can get in the gym and get a crazy fucking pump instead of writing essays and shit. So that is all I got. I'll see you later tonight, but you'll see me tomorrow for back. So I'll freaking see you then.